Good day once again. Exodus chapter 21. Now these are the judgments which you shall set before them. Notes, the legislation involving this chapter and the following two points to a loving God charting a moral course for a corrupt people. And as we're going to learn, they fail miserably. Verse 2. If you buy an Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve, and in the 7th he shall go out free for nothing. Oh boy, we got a phone ringing. And we'll just ignore it. Notes, the servants in the economy of Israel, as designed by God, had no kindred spirit whatsoever with that which we think of today as slavery. It was the same as an individual hiring himself to a particular master or family to serve for a period of time, which payment would include certain things. The time for this particular servitude was 6 years. So that completely throws these enslaving people completely down the drain. As a matter of fact, if you go to your Strong's Concordance and look up the word slavery, it basically means servant. Now, as you can see, if we read it in the King James Version, we automatically go back to what was going on in the 1800s, and we see that, this may be talking about something wicked. But the word servant in Hebrew, it doesn't really specify. It just says servant, which means that it could be a butler for all we know. Verse 3. If he came in by himself, he shall go out by himself. If he were married, then his wife shall go out with him. No, basically what this is saying is, if the man was married when he indentured himself, when he had served the agreed-upon time, his wife would be free with him. But really, basically, whenever you think of it, this is really like an indentured servant. They're basically saying, I will work for you 6 years for this and that certain amount. So slavery is completely out the window, and I know I'm probably going to get a email box chock full of hate mail for saying that and saying I'm just a scripture twister. Well, we'll just go right ahead and you send me all you want to. Verse 4. If his master have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out by himself. Notes, in this case, he would have to make arrangements as it regards his wife and children. Verse 5, and if the servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. Notes, all of this proclaims the servanthood of Christ, and thereby the manner in which we are to serve the Lord. Verse 6, then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door or unto the door post, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever. Notes, this is typology of Christ, obviously. He indentured himself to the human race, and he served perfectly, even though, he wound up on a cross. During this particular time, he gained a wife, in effect representing the church. You can find that in Romans chapter 7, 4, well, a little bit more about it. The union of himself with his corporate body has brought forth children. Furthermore, he was pierced on the cross for you and me, thereby guaranteeing his position as intercessor on our behalf and forever. He did this because he loves the Father, and he loves us especially. So you can see, to the unspiritual eye, a lot of these laws seem really, really weird, but they all point to Christ and something that he did. It never fails. As a matter of fact, we're going to be studying a particular building called the Tabernacle. And boy, I'm going to be exhausted with notes because there is just simply no bottom to the barrel of what you can learn through the Tabernacle. It represents Jesus Christ in so many astounding ways. You just cannot study it enough. Verse 7. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the men servants do. If she please not her master who has betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her unto a strange nation he shall have no power, seeing he has dealt deceitfully with her. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall deal with her after the manner of daughters. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. Verse 11, and if he do not these three unto her, then shall she go out free without money. Notes. Now, how does all of these particularly bizarre laws picture Christ? Well, it does so in the fact that he has bought us. 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 20, chapter 7, verse 23. The maidservant is pointing towards Israel. Israel desired to remain under the law, therefore she chose a secondary position. Another wife, in quotations, mind you, refers to the church. But yet Israel is to continue to be supported, which the Lord has done with this people in a distant way. Not desiring to remain at all, she has been allowed to go her own way. But that way has proven to be most disastrous. But even as Hosea predicted and showed by his own personal experience, Israel will return. As a matter of fact, you can read in Isaiah chapter 66, verse 8, one of the most astounding prophecies in the Bible. But if you really look at the translation, it's talking apparently about World War II being a travail, and how Zion, or Israel, would actually be born out of that. And believe me, no one expected for it to happen, but on May 15th, 1948, just right after World War II was finished, Israel was announced as a nation. And while all of this had to do with everyday life and living as it regards Israel of long ago, I'm picking up on my other notes, still it had a prophetic meaning as well, to which we have briefly alluded. We must never forget that Jesus is actually what we would call the true Israel. Just as he is the true church, he is also the true man. Verse 12, we are going to deal with murder, a most unsavory topic. He who smites a man so that he die shall be surely put to death. Notes. Now this speaks of that which we now refer to as a cold-blooded murder. Verse 13, and if a man lie not in wait, but God deliver him into his hand, then I will appoint you a place where he shall flee. Notes, these statements involve aggravated assault or even second-degree murder. 6 cities of refuge were to be designated where the shedder of blood might flee and where he might be safe from relatives of the deceased until his cause was tried before the men of his own city, or else the high priest dies. You can find this in Numbers chapter 35, verse 22 through 25. When the high priest died, the accused could then go free. Of course, this is typology of Christ, our great high priest, who died on the cross of Calvary that we might go free. Do you see the typology there? And we must once again pick up in Exodus chapter 21, verse 14. Thank you very much.